Genesis 1:26, God says something. He says, then let us what? Make man in what? In our own image. Meaning that you will see here the Godhead working together in perfect union. Meaning that it wasn't division in order to take place. It wasn't the Holy Spirit saying, well, let us make them like me. You know, wasn't saying that. God didn't say, him being supreme, let them be just like me. He didn't say, or, the word, which we know the word came, and Jesus didn't say, let it just be me. But he said, let us make man in our own image. Meaning having them to be one just as we are one. So we're going to give them the mindset. And it's interesting that he did. When he made man, he didn't just form man singular. I don't know if somebody caught that. He didn't just form man singular. When he formed Adam, woman was already in him. Meaning that they were already one before it already began. Meaning that he always intended for unity to be about in the lives of the believers and those that believe. Because you got to realize, in order for them to be one, Jesus turns around and says something. He said, Father, in John chapter 17, he says, just as you have made me and you one, let them be one with us. Just as we are one together, let those who believe shall become one with us. Talking about unity. It's important that when you look at unity and you realize that, because everything and everywhere you go, it's always about unity. Let's go to the job. It's a production that needs to go forward. No matter what the production is, it needs to go forward. I don't know one job that have one individual working on it. I don't know. I know in my line of work, you sure can't have no one. We already a minority without the one. Because anytime that you're dealing with 100 minors, and it's only about 14 or 15 of y'all, we got to be unified. Because at any time you can have anything that take place, or any type of riot situation, and dangerous situation, disturbance that take place that can cost people their lives. So being in a position in which you have to establish unity or be unified. Even in being in a family, parents, you got to understand that I don't care what the case of it is, you got to be unified with that baby daddy. Though you didn't want to be with the baby daddy, I'm just going to bust some stuff up right here. Because when you was getting it, it was all good. So the case of it is that even in the midst of what it is, you got to realize if that child is in that father's life and you have that, y'all got to be on one accord. Because if not, then it's going to be one thing said over here and another thing said over there. And then when they're raised up with a bunch of confusion. And now the enemy takes place upon the child. And now that one of us are saved, we're praying and laboring that God will deliver. Oh, good God. Unity. It doesn't matter that the relationship didn't work out. But what is the common goal? The common goal is that there is a soul right in the midst. And because of that, that soul has purpose. And the purpose is for God to get the glory out of that child's life, regardless of the circumstance and the situation. So you got to realize that unity is key. It's key. It's so key. So as we define unity and we look at unity, understanding that, because we got to understand that in the body today, in order for us to be more than conquerors, in order for us to conquer the world, we got to be unified. Where does it start? It starts in a household first. Whatever you linked it to and whatever, vineyard you are serving in, that's where you become unified first. I don't care what goes on. If you're disconnected, baby, I tell you, you are droughting and drying up. So that means that every now and then you get a little flow and a little spurt. But you got to realize, in order to have the continuing flow, you got to be anchored. You got to be anchored. It's more than just being connected. Because previously, those that were here for that one, previously you got to realize that connection can be disconnected at any point. But when you're anchored, you can't be moved. Meaning that you're placed in a place. That's why he said what? Let your feet be steadfast, unremovable, abounding, no matter what's going on, abounding, no matter what I'm hit with. I don't care if it hit me from the left, abounding. I don't care if it hit me from the right, abounding. No matter what the case of it is, I'm still abounding. I'm abounding. I can't be moved because I'm planted. And I'm not planted just because of me, but because I cooperate with the grace of God and I'm unified with God. I'm able to accomplish and be more than a conqueror through Jesus Christ. It's not just coming to church and giving up rules. It's not coming to church and just giving up, all these things that we want to do. The key of it is the very things that you're doing is killing you. It's killing you. It's killing you. Baby staying up all night, hanging out the club. I've been there till 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't know about y'all. I waited till they served breakfast, but that's a whole nother story. You get there and you're hanging out and you're doing what you're doing and you think that you're having fun. Baby, it's all being deceived. Because when you wake up the next morning, you feel more bad about the things that you did because now you operated in deception. The key of it is, what did it take from you? It begins to strip your natural body. It begins to deplete you. It begins to rob you of your youthful look. It begins to rape you. The enemy put you in places of bondage so that he can continue to rape you, and he can do what he want to do through you in his kingdom. And then if you got children, that stuff is trampling all over. You wondering why they out of control, why they talking back, why they doing what they doing. I would tell you as a parent, check your life and see where you are with Jesus. Because you got to realize you are called to be an example. And to be an example, you got to lead that child. The minute that God entrusted a soul to you, he knew where you was when you had the baby. He knew you wasn't married. He knew what the case of it was. God is the author and giver of life. So if you had that child, your responsibility is to rear that child. Because if you faithful over a few things, God will make you rule over many. The reason some of us is not getting what we need is because we're not in a position that God called us to be in. And how could he do when we're disconnected? He calls for us to be connected. His love. And when he hung, it was so that he would bring about a body of believers, that whosoever believeth on him shall not perish but have everlasting life. To be able to dwell with God.